Hello, everyone. This is David, Fairly Secret Music. Today I'm going to do a video. I have a friend, Jay, who we talk a lot via Messenger, and he's asking me if I like this band or that band, and what's the heaviest album by this band or that band. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do a video called something to the effect of imaginary shopping trip with Jay, and these are the albums that I would buy for him if there was cost was not a factor, things being out of print was not a factor, and whatever else, you know. So let's get right to it. We'll start. So I don't know if I've ever told you guys, I have my black metal stuff here, and then my bands that are kind of like Neurosis here, and then it goes just metal for the rest of it until it gets to hair metal and stuff. So I just went in order from the black metal all the way to the end of the metal. I know there are things that he already listens to. He listens to like Voivod, Death, Cynic, Sanctuary, Nevermore, stuff like that. So those things aren't in this. These are things that he might not know about that he should give a listen, and you can listen to any of these on YouTube, Jay. So this, if we went record shopping and you were like, put in my shopping cart everything you think I should be listening to, this is them. We'll start with Enslaved, Below the Lights. This album is so awesome. It is the perfect combination of black metal and kind of their progressive kind of stuff, but not too much on the progressive side. They still have a lot of the black metal vocals, but there is clean singing on here too. Key songs to listen to, As Fire Swept Clean the Earth, Queen of Night, and The Crossing. Oh, Havenless is awesome too. So there you go. Got to do this fast. There's a lot. Second, I decided for each of these black metal bands, or these two black metal bands, I'd give you kind of two kind of ends of the spectrum. This is their newest album. It's called E. I think it's called E. I don't know. It looks like that. So this one has got more clean vocals. They do riffs that kind of sound like something that Tool would come up with, but things that don't go on quite as long and are more interesting, if you ask me. But there is still the black metal vocals. He could be an acquired taste for some, but I am not sure. All right. I think it's either Storm Sun or River's Mouth on this that is just like, what? That's so awesome. This is like one or two albums after Primordial's best album. But I think this one has better production, and this one is called To the Nameless Dead, and the key track on here is Empire Falls. Awesome track. The production is just so clean. Well, not super clean, but the drums are less muddy than on The Gathering Wilderness. This is still my favorite album by them, but Billy Anderson produced it, so the production is kind of muddy. If there are any of you who listen to Agalloch, they are produced by Billy Anderson. There's a band that I just got some stuff by called Amenra. It's the word amen with an R-A at the end of it. They're from Belgium. I will talk about that in my next new purchases video. But yeah, Billy Anderson is notorious for having kind of muddy, kind of raw kind of production. This still sounds great. Just the bass drums I wish were a little bit more crisp. Ahab. This is the Giant. These guys are really doomy, really slow at times, but they do these build-up things where they have clean vocals, and the singer kind of sounds reminiscent of Michael Akerfeldt's clean vocals. So I thought, that is cool. And every album is basically a concept album. They have this one. They have one called The Boats of Glencarrig, which is based on a William Hope Hodgson book, which I have read, which is awesome. Sorry, my nose is like bugging me. They also have one called let's find out. The Divinity of Oceans. And there it says it. Nautical funeral doom metal. So, yeah, but this one is the coolest one of them all. Most people would tell you, if you want the heaviest and the best Neurosis, to start with Through Silver and Blood. I do agree. I mean, but this is a hard album, and well, it's a heavy album, and it's got a lot of stuff going on. This album, Times of Grace, is probably my favorite besides their EP, the Sovereign EP. But either one, you cannot go wrong. That's why I have my Neurosis sweatshirt on. The Ocean. So this band is from Germany. They are a collective, so their lineup kind of changes all the time. This album is a 2-album set. Bloop, bloop, bloop. They originally were going to do it as an instrumental album because their singer had an operation and he was healing, but by the time they were ready to release it, he was better. So there is the first disc has the vocals and the second disc has all instrumental, and it is crazy, like technical kind of in that Neurosis-y feel, but a little more proggy at the same time. The playing is fantastic, and the singing goes from beautiful clean vocals to really like harsh vocals. This whole album is basically levels of the ocean. So the further you, like at the beginning, it's all light and airy and whatever, and it gets heavier and heavier until you get to the very last song, which is the heaviest and I believe the slowest song on here. But fantastic. They have many, many albums, and all of them are really good. This is probably like the culmination of what they've been kind of going for or whatever. Because you've talked about, well, not you, Jay has talked about Opeth, and he's been getting into more of the proggy Opeth and Catatonia. I thought Amorphous would be a good one to suggest because that singer has a really great clean voice, but he also does the death metal stuff. This one would probably be my one that I tell people to start with that singer. Look, my fingers are just like hacked and I have black marker all over them and stuff. But this was the first one that I got with that singer. I can't remember any song titles. Probably Silent Waters or Servant. Or A Servant. But yeah. This one and the newest one with that they put out was really good. There was one song on there that really captured me, but I remember the song title. For crazy technical death metal, Beyond Creation is awesome. They had a 6-string fretless bass player, and that guy rocks my socks off. He is no longer in the band. They've did 2 albums, this one and another one with him, and they have a new bass player. Of course, he is an awesome 6-string fretless bass player too, but this guy just kind of came up with really, really awesome things. Let's see, what was it called? Omnipresent Perception is the key track, and you can watch a video of him playing just the bass part along with all the tracks, but the bass part is really present, so that gives you a good idea of what these guys sound like, or what he sounds like especially. I didn't mention Candlemass because everybody should already know about Candlemass, but a lot of people don't know about Memento Mori, and that has Messiah from Candlemass, Snowy Shaw on drums, I believe Mike Weed on guitar, and 2 other guys I hadn't heard of. But Snowy Shaw's drumming on this is absolutely fantastic. The one downside is his vocals are mixed just a smidge too low. I wish they would have mixed them just a little bit more. And Rhymes of Lunacy, that's this one. This one is the best one, and I believe this is their first one too. So I don't know if Jay has ever heard of Confessor Condemned, but this came out in 1991, which was the year we went to school together, 91 through 92, and this thing is awesome. Think of a doom band that's super technical with a drummer that is just absolutely amazing, and a singer who is all like, seems like, kind of, all of his vocals pretty much sound like that. If you like one song on this album, you will love the whole thing. If you don't like that one song, just don't even bother. But they have a song called The Stain, which is fantastic. This is one of the only ones in these stacks where I don't think you can listen to anything off of this album. You might be able to hear a copy of Condemned, I think, from their demo, which sounds almost exactly like this album. And his drum sound is freaking amazing. And he chokes the cymbals with the same hand he hits them with. And I just watching videos of him play is just phenomenal. All right. Thrashy, Cyclone Temple, fantastic album. More along the lines of Anthrax, but it's still super, super good. And Brendan Van D, you should totally check these guys out. Cyclone Temple. I'm not sure if you like Anthrax, Death Angel, that kind of thrash, but awesome. I think Darcy 6 Strings 9 Lives got a copy of this. I highly recommend it. Disincarnate. I don't even think this is in print. This has a guest appearance by Aaron, the singer of My Dying Bride. That's how my nephew discovered them, or discovered My Dying Bride, and thus got me into My Dying Bride. This is just a fantastic death metal album. It's weird, you know, because he was doing blast beats and just stuff that some of the other players weren't doing. The singer is fantastic. I love his growls, and of course you have James Murphy on guitar. Not sure if you ever listened to Flotsam and Jetsam, Jay, but this is still my favorite. Otherwise, you could get their newest album. That is really heavy, and Ken Mary plays drums on it, but this is still my favorite album by them. Forbidden, Twisted into Form, saw them on this tour, saw them on 3 tours. This one, the Distortion tour, and the Omega, whatever it was called, or Alpha, I don't remember. But Paul Bustoff's drumming, he uses closed hi-hat on stuff while he's playing double bass. It was fantastic. That was the first time I saw anybody use two hi-hats. He had one that was just closed, so when he was playing double bass with, he could have the closed hi-hat instead of the open hi-hat. And this album is so awesome. Jay today asked me if I got into Gojira, and I have The Ways of All Flesh. He was talking about one of their other ones, I think something to Sirius. I can't remember what the title was, but I said, and he said, hey, I know you, I don't think you're into like the heavy growlers. And I'm like, dude, what? I listen to Gore Guts, bitch. From Wisdom to Hate, the title track alone is worth the price of admission just for the drum beat. This album is awesome. A lot of people might say their second album, some people might say Obscura, which I saw him on that tour, but From Wisdom to Hate is so good. It's just the right amount of technical stuff and heavy awesomeness. So good. Jay asked me about Catatonia today, and what did he compare them to? I can't remember. Let's find out what he compared them to today. And I think this album sounds a lot more like some of the proggier Opeth. Let's see. From Mars to Sirius was the Gojira one. He said they sound like My Dying Bride. I don't get that. What I do get is him sounding a lot like Michael Akerfeld in a couple songs, either on this one or the one that was before this. But this album is awesome. The Dead End Kings, so great. This was the soundtrack to my life in 2012. Leprous. Now this is an acquired taste. They are a Norwegian band. The singer is a higher singer, but I know Jay loves Warrell Dane. All Warrell Dane. So it might appeal to you. Their drummer is really awesome. This is probably, their live album is fantastic, so that probably should be my suggestion, but Contagious, or no, The Congregation is fantastic. But the singer does like, in my room where I lie. Hopefully that doesn't sound like shit. But that's kind of how he sings, and it's fantastic, and he's really good at it, and singing like that all the time is super difficult, even when you are a studio band. I know, because I've tried recently. Really awesome doomy metal band, Morgion. Let me see if there is a booklet that shows you which album is the better of the two that is in here. There we go. So they put out this album called Solari, and Solinari. Here, I'll show you the title. Right there. Solinari. Which is funny, because that's disc 1, that's their second album. Among Majestic Ruins is their first album, yet it's disc 2. That's because they know this one was way better. But this is what the cover looked like. And, oh man, this thing, they have a song called Canticle. Just listen to that song. So awesome. It has this weird build up, and like, oh, it's so good. So good. But this is the Relapse collection. It's 2 discs, and I believe I've seen this at a couple of the cheapo records in Minnesota. So fantastic. Give them a listen. if you want grindcore, and I don't really usually like grindcore, it just kind of bores me, but this band, Nasm, they were the one grindcore band that I totally dug. This came out after their singer died in the tsunami way back in, oh gosh, what was that? 2000, was it 2004 or 2003 or something like that? I can't remember anymore. But this thing, this is what sucks about this version. The booklet, the book just pulls out because the binding wasn't good or the glue wasn't good. But look at how thick that book is. Wait, let's see. That's a thick book. So this thing is 2 discs, but there are 152 songs on it. 152 songs. So this has all their EPs and splits and 7 inches, and it goes from the beginning of their career all the way to the end, and it's fantastic. This is the guy. Okay, so it was 2004. That was the singer and / guitarist. So he also produced stuff. Also, this has all the lyrics and a bunch of liner notes on everything that's in it. It's so fantastic. There is a version that I don't know if it still comes with that ginormous book. This is the hardcover kind of edition. I keep it in a Ziploc bags because there's no CD bags that actually will fit this damn thing that I have found. So I should probably update this Ziploc bag. Another technical death metal band. This has the former bass player. Well, and then he went, after he left them, he went back to playing with Pestilence. But he's a fretless bass player, just phenomenal. And these guys are kind of in that same realm as Beyond Creation. This is Obscura, and I believe this is their second album. I think they did like a self-released one. I'm not 100% sure though. Cosmogenesis. And I cannot remember the name. The Anti-Cosmic Overload. That was the one. Watch that video. That bass player is nuts. He's so great. The cool thing with this band and Beyond Creation, unlike bands like Origin or oh god, I can't remember anybody other than them. Origin really has no melody whatsoever. They're just like straight ahead death, and everything is just a billion miles an hour. These guys actually have melodies and kind of hooks that you can kind of hum after a while. So, yeah. I don't know if he's gotten Watershed yet. He said he was getting Opeth stuff, but this is by far my favorite. I have the deluxe edition with bonus tracks and DVD and this weird, stupid packaging, so I put the booklet in there. The only Opeth album not to have lyrics, which is really weird to me. Just the song Hair Apparent or Air Apparent is worth the price of admission. Local Minnesota band, Power Mad, Absolute Power. Anybody who's seen Wild at Heart knows that, or the song Nice Dreams maybe. My favorite is Return from Fear and Brainstorms, but these guys are awesome. I still have to get a copy of their newest album. I had it for a little bit, didn't dig it, decided to sell it, and kind of regret selling it. And then I found it used, and I didn't get it. And then when I wanted it, it wasn't there. I think it's like $9.99 new every time I see it at like the Electric Fetus or whatever. But this album is fantastic. So good. And hard to find. Reverend, The World Won't Miss You. This is David Wayne from Metal Church with the guys from Heretic. Kind of got together after they kind of swapped singers. And this thing is heavy. But there's a lot of good melodies on here. So I'm thinking for somebody who likes World Dane might dig this. The vocals aren't really similar, but the music kind of is. So, but I wanted to talk about Reverend again, apparently. Slow, doomy, My Dying Bride-ish kind of stuff. Saturnus, Paradise Belongs to You. He doesn't sing. He does like weird spoken word kind of poetry stuff along with death metal growls. I love this album. This thing came out, I think, in 95. And let me see. Yeah, I can't find the date on it. It's just so fantastic. I recently finished getting their collection. I had let years go by without getting stuff, and finally finished that. Polish band called Sira, Did Tomorrow Come. This is a great combination of kind of the more, well, on this album, on their first album, they're more like in that My Dying Bride, theater of tragedy-ish kind of stuff. But this album, they have like the death metal, the kind of My Dying Bride stuff, a little bit kind of progressive, a little experimental. Listen to the song Did Tomorrow Come, or Rhea. It's spelled Rhea. So great. I love the singer, and then the guitarist does all the death metal vocal stuff. Here's a band called s.u.p. I'll show you how it's spelled. There we go. And this album's called Cognitive. This has Steve DiGiorgio, or however you pronounce it, on fretless bass, and Martin Lopez, who used to play in Opeth. So imagine a band with a singer who sounds like the guy from Opeth, but arrangements and some riffs that sound like they listen to Tool a lot. But then I think it's either the first or second song on here, the end of the song is all a cappella, and it's fantastic. Suppuration, also known as s.u.p. or Spherical Unit Provided. This is probably the greatest place to start, is the Cube, because it's still the perfect combination of death metal, but with their heavy Voivod influence. They're a French band, and I think just having a French accent makes you kind of sing like Snake. Or at least in this one instance, it does. But this album is awesome, and you can listen to the whole thing on YouTube. There's actually a live video of them in a radio station playing this whole album. It's a black and white video, and you can see how the drummer plays. He plays left-handed, but still uses his right leg to play the bass drum, so he doesn't have a foot pedal to close the hi-hat, so he'll grab the hi-hat with his right hand. So it creates a lot of really cool drum patterns that he does. And just watching the video of him playing this, you'll notice. Jay's also a drummer too, so he might dig on that. Thought Industry, Mods Carved the Pigs, Assassins, Toads, and God's Flesh. This is one of the craziest albums and so awesome. I'll just name some song titles: Horsepowered, Date Rape Cookbook, Gelatin, Jane Whitfield is Dead, Boyle is my favorite song on here, Michigan Jesus, Smirk the Godbender, Republicans in Love, Worms Listen, Patiently Waiting for Summer, and To Build a Better Bulldozer, one of the greatest instrumentals ever created. So awesome, and they almost didn't even do it. So, this is fantastic. A Metal Blade album. I have a promo copy, which is weird. Should be able to find these pretty cheap. But this thing is awesome. Viking, the Man of Straw. Viking has, I think his name is, let's find out, Brett Erickson, who was on the last Dark Angel album. This is the band he was in while he was in Dark Angel also. Their singer became Christian while they were doing this, or right before they went into the studio. So instead of leaving the band like people do, oh, I found Christianity, I can't be in this heavy metal band. No, he stayed in the band and just changed all the lyrics so they weren't as negative and kind of, but they're still, you know, they have a song called Case of Stubborns, and what are the lyrics? Human life expectancy no longer than a century. There are those who would cheat death if they could. Stuff like that. Just awesome. In the vein of kind of Dark Angel a little bit. Not quite as wordy though. But this album was and is fantastic. This is their second album. They have another one called Do or Die, which I would buy if I found it, but I just haven't gotten around to like order it or whatever. And the last thing is Unleash the Archers. This album is not the one that I would suggest though, even though it's really good. My favorite song by them, let me find out the title. My favorite song by them is called Tonight We Ride. And I'm not sure what, let me find out what album. Time Stands Still. This is a band that has one of the greatest female singers in metal, and hardly anybody knows about them. Well, I don't see people talking about them tons, but she wails, and it's fantastic. So, Jay, that is my picks for your music shopping list. The cool thing is you can just watch and listen to all of this on YouTube and see what you like and what you dislike. So, if you listen to all of these or little snippets to all of these, let me know which ones you like. Other people can do it too if you want. All right. Take it easy.